Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mojito Movement, and today I am joined by an absolute legend, Aaron, who I will get to introduce himself shortly. But for those of you who are unaware, which you won't be aware, this is about our fifth take of trying to do this, so the mojitos are already running thin, but we're going to cheers them again and pretend like we haven't tried them, so let me know what you think.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Mine is still is just as nice as it was the first time I tried it about 4 attempts ago. So if we get progressively more pissed on this episode, it's been... I'm blaming it on technology. Simple as that. Mate, welcome. Introduce yourself. Let everyone know where they can find you. And we will try and recapture what was an excellent chat before the technical issues started. So over to you.
No worries. Yeah, I'm Aaron Nee, and I'm a nutritionist. And you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Aaron_nutrition.
Excellent. We always like a handle that...
Yeah, for that one myself.
Really sort of sets the expectation of what you're going to get. It appears to be behaving, so we are gonna dive headfirst in, and hopefully we don't have to cover this again. But for the fourth time today, and for everyone else's benefit this time, hopefully, let me know how did it come about? How did you become Aaron Nutrition?
Yes. So I think my backstory really explains how my content is, because I'm very straight to the point, and I just want to put out the most simple information, because I hate it that people were confused about fat loss and nutrition, because I was confused when I was younger. For years I didn't know what the right diet was and switched between diets. But yeah, so I'd done terrible at school, left school with 1 C in GCSE.
What was your C in?
English. I think it's English lit. So
nice.
not even PE.
I didn't even do PE for GCSE. So
I hated school because I didn't think I was stupid, but I just wasn't interested in what they were telling me. I didn't really care about Pythagoras' theorem, and I've got a really bad attention span. Like, I can't concentrate on something, even if I try. So if they're telling me something I'm not interested in it, I just switch off.
Yeah.
And then I come back into lesson, I'm panicking because I haven't listened to anything.
Yeah, mate, I was like Jekyll and Hyde at school. So like parents' evenings were always hilarious, because the subjects that I liked, the teachers would rave about like how I was the perfect student and how easy to teach I was, and then the subjects that I didn't like, they were always the same. He needs to pay more attention, he needs to chat less, he needs to do this less, and it's like, no, you need to find a way to make this shit interesting, because right now it's fucking not for me.
Unfortunately for me, I hated every subject, so I couldn't concentrate. But left school, and obviously with shit grades got a shit job. I worked at home base, and then just loads of warehouse jobs. I remember saving up money, going to Thailand for like 3 months, and then coming back, and I was just skint. I was like, I need a job quick. So a warehouse job came up just down the road from my mum and dad's, like literally like a 5-minute walk. I thought that would do, perfect, because I was obviously living with my mum and dad. And I just thought, get out of bed a couple minutes early, a couple minutes to work, get down there, that will do. And it really did change my life, that job, because the first day I pick up a box and think, what are we packing in here? Look inside, and it's a tub of protein powder. I thought, that's pretty cool. I didn't know anything about supplements. I went to the gym, but not really. Went with my mates, like socialising really down there, jumping on a few machines, but I wasn't really properly training. But yeah, now I'm reading up on protein powders, creatine, BCAAs, fat burners, and getting really interested in it all. And then obviously my gym starts picking up. I'm watching like DVDs of like Ronnie Coleman and Schwarzenegger, getting really involved in like the bodybuilding stuff and absolutely loving it. And I ended up staying so it was Reflex Nutrition, the company. Ended up staying there for 16 years. But obviously not just in the warehouse. After a couple of years, I moved up into the office, started working for the export team in sales, and my region was the Middle East. So I was traveling the world. I was going to Qatar, Saudi, Kuwait, Dubai. And then there's like shows like, Body Power in Birmingham. And they've got them shows like all over the world. So like in Germany, Italy. And you're going to meet all of these bodybuilders that you've been watching. And I was having dinner with like Ronnie Coleman. Like there's just 5 of us sitting around a table eating steak with Ronnie Coleman. It was really surreal. and I'm really into boxing as well. So I was meeting like Tyson Fury, David Hay I've met. He's actually blocked me now. He put out a post about a year ago saying that fruit, like not to have it because it's full of sugar. I called him out, and he blocked me, so we're not really friends anymore.
That's fair. But again, that raises a really valuable point, though, that there are a lot of people that will be respected because of what they've achieved in a certain sport or discipline, who ultimately put out shit information. And again, it's not that they're doing it deliberately, but people who have achieved great things from a sporting capacity, whether it's bodybuilding, whether it's boxing, whether it's football, whatever it is, the harsh reality is they're not qualified professionals. They're not qualified nutritionists, dietitians. So the information they're putting out is just what they think.
Yeah.
And when you have a massive following and people respect you because of what you've achieved, it becomes more important to make sure that the information they put out is accurate. And the challenge that we have is there are a lot of people, we've both called them out in the past, people like Eddie Abu, who are very well respected because of what they've achieved. But I can guarantee you he has got zero qualification from a nutritional perspective, and yet is probably one of the loudest people in the nutritional space at the moment, promoting what is nothing short of an eating disorder. But people absolutely lap it up and assume that it must be correct because, well, he's won Mr. Olympia a couple of times. And you go, yeah, he won that by doing the opposite of what he's saying to do now, first and foremost, because he wasn't evidently trying to keep his insulin low because he's already admitted he would inject insulin. But he also won that by following a stupidly restrictive diet, packing his body full of gear and training really hard. None of those things that he is now encouraging people to do. He's just telling people to eat a fuckload of eggs. And this is the problem and the challenge that people like you and I have in the nutritional space, is that the multitude of shit information that's out there it seems to be ever growing. We've got the greatest access to information we've ever had, and there is more and more shit information being put out. And I think it's great that you're willing to challenge people. I think those who are in positions like someone like David Hay, who is trusted, respected, and people are going to listen to because of what he's achieved in life. If they put information out that's not correct, they need to be challenged, and so people need to say, no, hang on a minute, that's not true.
I just feel sad for people that are so confused and being fed the wrong information, because that was me. I was following what bodybuilders were doing. I was going up to people who are in the best shape, who I'd met at shows, or even like athletes that Reflex had sponsored. They're in unbelievable shape. Say, what are you doing? Oh, I'm on ketosis because carbs are bad, and in ketosis you burn much more fat. So I'm like, oh, cool. I only wanted to drop like half a stone, but I'm starting to do keto. Yeah. I'm on the keto diet, and I remember being at work pissing on sticks to make sure I was in ketosis.
Mate, it's so bad when you say it out loud. And we had this chat off air, but if somebody said that their kid was avoiding fuckloads of food and only eating really restrictively, and they had to piss on a stick every single day to make sure that they're in the right place, with the exception of perhaps somebody who is diabetic, for example, where it might be important to monitor the amount of carbs and blood sugars and stuff, anyone else just said, my kid's doing that, you'd be like, you need to get them fucking some help, that's an eating disorder. But you slap a word like keto or carnivore on it, and people suddenly get a fucking full erection, start, oh, I'm gonna jizz all over it, it's the best thing ever. And you go, it's not, it's disordered eating at best. Worst case is it's a full fucking eating disorder.
But because I'm in this industry, that's all I'm seeing, like people in amazing shape, and the people like my mates in that aren't like the people on the front page of like Men's Health. So I'm thinking they must be doing something different. So what are they doing? And they're telling me that they're doing keto. So then I start doing it, and then obviously that doesn't work for me. And then I speak to somebody else in shape, and they're like, I'm fasting because you don't want to spike your blood glucose. I'm like, okay, cool. So then I start fasting, and I'm thinking that's the way. Just jump in between diets, and then even like when you finally start hearing, I'm knew about keto before I knew about a calorie deficit. But then you start understanding the calorie deficit. But even then, I'm going to bodybuilders and I remember buying plans off of them. And it's literally, you open it, it's just like chicken, rice, broccoli, fish, on repeat, day after day. And obviously that's not going to work for me either, because I'm not looking to step on stage.
Mate, and this is the challenge, and you really raised such a valuable point. When I was prepping for physique competitions, in 10 months, I ate the same 5 meals 7 days a week, with the exception of 3 days. One was Christmas Day. One was the day where my coach told me that we were moving my show date from where we thought we were to the end of the year, and to prevent me from having a fucking full breakdown, he told me to go up to Miller and Carter and get a fucking massive burger and chips. And the other time was my wife's 30th birthday. We went out to Koh Thai, so there's a Thai tapas restaurant, and it's fucking great. You go, you pay like 30 quid a head, and they just bring you food for like 3 hours until you're done. And we were going there with a big group of us, and my coach picked what I could have off the menu before I went. So everyone else is having this amazing food, going, this is so good, you should try it. And I'm sat there with my fucking my one Coke Zero, my tap water, my fucking steamed veg, my plain rice, and my satay chicken, going, very nice. Watching everyone else have a good time. And it's like, that's fine if you're stepping on stage. Like, you have to accept that when you step on stage, there are sacrifices. And you raise a really good point in terms of, you were asking fitness professionals, you were asking sports professionals, athletes, what they're doing. And when you are dealing with fractional percentages that make the difference between winning and losing, do you know what? Anything that can get you that edge is worth doing.
Yeah.
You know, if you go and speak to somebody like Ronaldo and you ask how restrictive his diet is, how intensive his training is, it's going to be fucking top tier. Like, if any regular person that's not him was doing it, any person that's not a professional athlete is doing it, you'd be like, that's borderline obsession. You probably want to work on that. But when your income is dependent on it, it makes sense.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But the point that's really valuable that you raise is the fact that there are so many people like yourself who aren't stepping on stage. You're not a professional athlete. You're not trying to get that fractional percentage improvement that could be the difference between winning and fourth place. That could be the difference between, you know, a few £100,000 as a prize money and you know, fuck all.
Yeah.
You're an everyday person, so why? You know, the industry does a great job of making people ruin their lives and make themselves fucking miserable in the hope of they might look a little bit like somebody whose job it is to look exceptional. And it's madness. It's madness.
Yeah. And you couldn't really look into things back then. Like, there wasn't loads of people like us putting out all this information on social media. It was more like you're reading Men's Health magazine and somebody's done a post in that about keto diet and they're in shape, or like I said, you meet people who are in shape and they're telling you what they're doing. Yeah. I couldn't go and look it up, and there wasn't other people. There was nobody telling us about a calorie deficit back then. Goes back to what we were saying about school, like how they're not teaching like about a calorie at school or anything to do with nutrition. I don't know if they do now, but they definitely didn't when I was at school.
Again, the challenge with school in particular is that you're taught how to pass the curriculum. You're taught how to pass exams. You're taught how to get into the next stage of education. You're not taught how to live life. You're not taught how to. I mean, fucking hell. I wish I was taught at school how to be good with money.
Yeah, apply for a mortgage and stuff.
I am terrible with money.
Yeah.
Like, thankfully for me, like, my missus is very money savvy. I'm the opposite. Yeah. If I've got 10 quid in my pocket, guess what? I'm spending 15. I don't know where the other 5 is coming from. We'll worry about that later.
Yeah. I remember when I first went to apply for a mortgage, they were like, you can't because your credit's terrible. I was like, what does that mean? Yeah. I didn't even know. I didn't know how important it was.
Yeah. I really want to buy a house though. Yeah, that's great, but you need to sort this shit out.
Yeah. Yeah, but so that was part of the. Like, I loved my job, but I really hated that part because after like a few years, you just got getting pissed off. You're like, well, what is the truth? Because everybody's contradicting themselves, and nothing seems to make sense. So I was like, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna go and study myself. Yeah. And then I was looking online and found some people, like a bit of an evidence-based community, like Lane Norton. Started following a lot of his stuff. Yeah. And then I come across like Martin McDonald. Yeah. And he was doing a course called MNU. And yeah, studied for that and absolutely loved it. Like, I was now doing something that I loved, or listening to stuff that I love, so I could take the information in. Yeah.
I think it's such a powerful thing, isn't it? When you find something you actually enjoy, that it no longer becomes a chore to learn. No. I was exactly the same when I did my qualifications. I spent so long wanting to do it and thinking I wouldn't be able to. Again, I was in a corporate job. I was working long hours. I was traveling all over the country. And I had conversations with people I worked with, and I was like, I really want to get into coaching. Like, I would love to have an online coaching business. That was the goal. Fucking back in like I started talking about it probably in 2014, something like that. Fucking ages ago. And everyone kept saying, well, why don't you do it? And I was like, well, I haven't got a month to take off work to go and do my qualifications, and all the online courses I could find required me to go and do physical, like practical stuff, like on the weekends. And I was running a football team at the time. I was like, I just didn't think it was ever going to happen. But the minute I started and found a course that I could do, and I could do it at my own time, like I gave up so much of my time to do that course. Like every night I'd get in at like fucking 9-10 p.m. and I'd be like, I'm doing an hour.
Yeah.
And it's like I actively wanted to learn, because you're doing something you actually fucking care about.
Yeah, I remember getting really excited about some of the lectures, like going to the lectures, like I can't wait to learn this, because you've read the title of what he's going to be talking about. And yeah, I actually got a distinction, which I'd never got like an A or B before at school.
Yeah.
So to get that, I was really proud of myself. But yeah, and then I was still working at Reflex at the time, so I've qualified as a nutritionist. Part of that course, which is pretty cool as well, they teach you how to coach people. Or how to implement that into, real life situations.
Do you know, and that's again a massive thing, because when you do like PT qualifications and stuff, obviously there's quite a few of them that are endorsed by the likes of your Pure Gyms and gym groups and stuff, where you get a job at the end of it. But none of the courses really teach you how to apply what you know into a coaching environment.
Yeah.
So you end up with what probably doesn't help the industry, a lot of people who are qualified as PTs, as trainers, as who want to call themselves coaches, who don't actually know how to apply that information to everyday people. And that in itself does a lot of harm within the industry, because there are so many people who are perhaps not taught the greatest information. I've spoken a number of times how I think the level 3 PT qualification is bollocks, and it teaches you a load of shit that's outdated. But again, if you don't even know how to apply that information to actually help people, it just creates this what I like to call a bit of a cesspit that is the fitness industry, where you've got a fuckload of people with minimal qualification understanding trying to help people, and they don't even know how to. They're not taught how to run a business, how to actually work with people. You just get given some baseline theory, and it's like, yep, there you go, you're qualified now. So I think it's really powerful that MNU in particular really works on how you then apply this to the individual.
Yeah, it's lucky that I did have some understanding, because I kind of got thrown in at the deep end, because I started putting out a few videos online, and probably in the first like 3 months on TikTok I had like 2 viral videos, and my following just went crazy, went up to like 50,000 in like the first 3 months.
I'll rub it in.
And then so some of them was luck, because like I remember doing one post like not even thinking it would do well, and it got like 3.5 million views, and I was like, fucking hell. But then people start messaging you saying, can you coach me? And I'm like, shit, yeah, I can. That's what I do. But I didn't really have anything in place, so I'm like doing it on, I only took on like 3 or 5 people, doing it on like Excel and stuff, and it was working. But then obviously start growing and start learning about apps and stuff, and talking to some mentors and stuff, and they help giving you information about how to run your business, and just kept growing. And then I absolutely love it. Like, just, I don't like putting out content, but I kind of like the social media game a little bit. It keeps it a bit interesting. Yeah. But I love having clients. I've got 84 online clients at the moment. And the buzz I get from working with them and the results that they get. Like, I know that it's cliche in it to say like find a job that you love and you never have to work a day in your life. But I genuinely love my job, and there's nothing better than helping some of these people. And
mate, I completely agree. I've spoken about it on previous episodes. Like, I was in a very high pressured sales job, getting paid a fucking fortune to do something I hated, and it got to a point where they could have genuinely said to me, we're going to put your base salary up to $250,000 a year, £500,000, £1 million a year, and I'd have been like, great, like fucking great. The money was the only reason why I stayed in it as long as I did. The difference between that and now is mad. Like, I genuinely feel like my biggest stress is making sure that I've put some content out. And
definitely.
Yeah, obviously, when you're self-employed, when you're solely reliant on yourself, if you go through quieter periods and stuff, yes, it's stressful. Like, yes, it brings about its other challenges. Sometimes you sit there as a self-employed coach and you go, it'd be great to have a salary right now. Other times you sit there and you go, do you know what? This is fucking ace. Like, we fucked off to Malta. It was one of our best mates' 40th this year. So we booked a trip, 4 of us, myself, my missus, a couple of our mates, off to Malta to celebrate his 40th. the best thing about booking that is everyone else is like, I need to check with work if I can get the time off. I was like, fucking you tell me the dates and I'm there.
Yeah.
Like, it's the greatest feeling when you are in complete control of what you're doing.
I could never work for somebody.
Me neither.
And to be fair, I didn't really hate it when I did have a job. Like I said, I actually loved my job, but yeah, and with the freedom, like just waking up and just doing, I go to the gym when I want. Or,
it's so nice being able to train middle of the day.
Yeah, I have mojitos at midday.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. But really, yeah, the buzz of helping people and helping your clients is unmatched, because I've literally changed some of their lives. And
that's the thing that I love the most is when you speak to people. So I spoke to one of my old clients this week. They're restarting with me again. She's been through an exceptional journey. She just had surgery and stuff, and she's, by her own admissions, feeling a little bit like she's struggling for willpower is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But what absolutely made me beyond proud was when I first started speaking with her, she had no idea about calorie control. She had no idea about activity, like everything, she tried every diet going. She'd had various surgeries and all sorts of stuff, and nothing had ever worked. Like, she was just a serial dieter, basically, like, the classic yo-yo dieter. And we worked with each other for a while, got some really good results, and I spent so much time working with her on the mindset, on the relationship with food, the understanding of stuff. And I had a call with her this week because she was like, look, I feel like I'm struggling a little bit post-surgery, and to be fair, the food side of things she's still pretty well on top of. We're going to help her reintroduce activity, and she wants to get into running and stuff. And some of the things that she was saying on the call, she was like, I know I need to control my calories. I know I need to track things. I know I need to be getting a certain amount of protein. I know I need to be doing this. I know I need to be doing that. And I'm like, can I just stop you for a second? Because when we first fucking spoke, you had no clue about any of this shit. Yeah. And here we are, like 2 years later, life has dealt its hand to you. You've navigated it. You've dealt with it. You've brought yourself out of a difficult place from a mental health perspective. And the best bit about it is you've reached out to me and said, could do with a little bit of help. And everything that I fucking worked with her on is still there. She still knows this stuff, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with needing support and accountability along the way every now and then. The most important thing is that she's not reverted back to what she was doing before and kind of sacrificing the shit that you actually need to do. And that is the stuff that gives me the biggest buzz. Like, in my opinion, any cunt can put together a nutrition plan, a diet plan, let's be honest, and a basic training plan that will get somebody shredded in 12 weeks. You can make their life fucking miserable, and you can get a great before and after, and you can go, look how good I am at coaching. That to me isn't coaching.
Yeah.
When you can work with somebody for a period of time, and then 2 or 3 years later they come back to you and go, hey, I could do with a bit of support, but however, everything you taught me is fucking still right in there. It's ingrained. It's part of me. You go, brilliant. This is the fucking, that's what I got into this for.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything that can match it.
No, I think the way that most, or the good coaches teach the person, like you said as well, like after they've stopped working with you, they're not going to like go back to Slimming World, because they understand that that's not going to work. Yeah. I think people on Slimming World, if they go to another diet, another fad diet, then they might jump around these fad diets. But once you start understanding it's not really a diet. I mean, I don't do meal plans.
No, me neither.
I've
never written one, and I never will.
No, get them tracking their calories on my app. If well, that's not the only way we do it. Like, if they struggle with that, we'd do something else. But the majority of the time, I get them tracking their calories on my app. Then I can just see everything they're eating and drinking. And then if they start binging at the weekends, just say, okay, we'll track it, and then get them to learn from that and understand what was triggering that. Yeah. And
again, even if people like to indulge more at the weekends, 9 times out of 10, those weekend binges are born more out of the relationship with food, than how they make themselves feel when they have something higher calorie, something that they want. Yeah. I've got clients that are quite happy to sit on what most people would call poverty calories Monday to Friday, because they know they want to enjoy the weekend a bit more. And I'm like, look, you've got to create a life that you fucking like. If you're happy to sit on 1,000 calories Monday to Friday so that you can have 2,000 calories Saturday and Sunday, or 2,500 or 3, or however many it is, that includes some ciders, it includes some chocolate, it includes this and that, and you want to live a bit more freely, like, fucking let's fucking create that. Because that to me is how you create longevity. And a point that I'm fairly certain you'll echo, that I've raised to pretty much every single person that I've worked with, is the goal is not to lose as much weight as quickly as possible. It's to lose as much weight for as long as possible. And when you create a lifestyle, that's exactly what you do. You create an environment for longevity, and not just in your behaviors and your habits and your routines, but in the results that you get as well.
Yeah.
Too many people go headfirst into a diet that they know they're going to hate, purely on the basis that it promises they're going to lose 2 stone in the first few weeks, and they go, "This is going to be great. I'm going to lose all this fucking weight." And you go, "Yeah, what are you going to do in 3 or 4 weeks' time when you fucking sacked it off?"
Yeah. I have some clients like in their, like, lads in like their mid-20s who are going out with their mates and drinking all the time, but they love doing that, and they're never really going to stop doing that at their age. So there's no point me giving them a diet for like 2 months where they don't drink, don't go out. Yeah, they lose the weight, but then after they stop working with me, that's going to come back into their life, and they haven't learned how to diet with that around. So we look at it like on a month and just say, well, try and get some calories there, and then try and be a bit tighter when there's not really much going on. Yeah, as long as you're comfortable with it. Then.
I completely agree. One of my clients I'm working with at the moment, she plays rugby, and we've been working with each other. It's probably 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that. She's lost the better part of 10 kilos. But out of the first 4 weeks, she had 3 massive social weekends with her rugby team. She then had 2 weeks of nothing. She then had a hen do with beach rugby social the following week, and then her end of season do was the week after that. So out of 8 weeks, we've had at least 5 or 6 weeks where she's had a big fucking social. She's gone and got totally shit-faced, but we've still dropped like the better part of 10 kilos.
Yeah.
And the way that we've done it has been fucking straightforward. We look at it objectively and go, well, you're going to want to enjoy these moments, so let's just focus on the rest of the time and doing the right thing. And we put calories into a sensible place. She's training hard, loving what she's doing. And it just shows that you don't need to make your life miserable to get results. And I think it's such an important thing from a coaching perspective that too many people overlook, is that our jobs are not, if you want to be an actual coach, if you want to be a trainer, then prescribe, get short-term results, and never actually impact somebody's life long-term. But if you want to be a coach, your job is to help people to understand how to strike that balance between living a life they love and achieving the results that they're after. And it's not as unpleasant as people think it is. No,
yeah, exactly. I hate it when you go to bring on a new client, like they're really interested, but they say, I don't know if it's the right time, because like in a month I'm away for a weekend, and then I've got a holiday in August, and you're like, yeah, but that's life. That's always going to be there. So what you need to learn to deal with those situations in your life.
Yeah, you've got to be able to navigate it. A phrase I always use: it's better to learn how to incorporate the things you like than to eliminate them.
Yeah.
Because if all you ever do is eliminate them, that is not a long-term strategy. Because if I said to, if somebody came to me like, I fucking love a mojito, and I turned around and went, well, that's great, but you're never going to have that for the rest of your life, they go, I'm not going to work with you. Yeah. That sounds shit, I'll be honest. And the key is not to take things away from people, it's to help them to realise how they can include it without derailing what they're after. And I think it was a big reason why I wanted to get you on, is simply because I see it in your content all the time. It's logical, it's evidence-based, it's straightforward. It's just about making people's lives easier and more enjoyable without that being a detriment to the results they're after.
Yeah.
And I think there's too many cunts out there that will shoehorn somebody into a particular diet or put somebody on a particular product. We were speaking before we came on air about things like Ozempic and what have you, and I think it's a good topic for us to cover. But there will be people out there pushing either their clients to go on GLP-1 meds specifically, or the alternative to GLP-1 meds, like the products out there and stuff. And it just creates this false economy that you're not actually helping people. You're just shoehorning them into whatever approach worked perhaps for them as an individual, which means that there's a shelf life to them following that approach.
Yeah.
And that isn't coaching. And like I said, one thing I've seen from your content, which I really fucking like, is the simple fact that it's not about shoehorning people into one approach. It's about making sure people understand the baseline principle behind what they want to achieve, so they can find the best method of creating that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the Ozempic thing, there's a real problem at the moment, because there's just hundreds or thousands of people online acting like Ozempic experts, but they're just somebody who took Ozempic, and they're giving out, like, they're prescribing it and giving you like links to go and buy it from, and telling you what dosages to have.
Where does that sound familiar? Is it it rhymes with Wimming Merles,
Yeah.
where Slimming World. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, where your only requirement apparently to be able to run a Slimming World group is that you did it for a while and lost a bit of weight. And obviously, as we all know,
Yeah.
losing weight makes you an expert.
And as amazing as the Ozempic drug is, it's just I'm not an expert on it because I don't think anyone really is, because it hasn't been around long enough to see the results. But I just see people abusing it, like they're taking it to the point where they're not getting any hunger, and then if you're doing that, one, you're not going to be able to get enough nutrients from food because you're not eating anything.
Yeah.
You're not going to get enough protein, so you're going to get a lot of muscle wastage. But then they're also, like we were talking about before, they're not dealing with the issue, which was the hunger, because when they stop taking it, and I know some people will take it for the rest of their life, but if you stop taking it, your hunger's going to come back. And then you haven't dealt with dieting with that hunger.
Yeah.
And they could just be having a bit of a microdose of it to help with that hunger. But they're literally eradicating their hunger completely, and they get a little bit hungry and they're like, oh no, it's not working, up the dosage.
Yeah, and this is the risk. Obviously, with everything that's out there, there is always going to be a risk that things get abused. Every medication gets abused. So, my viewpoint of it, and I've touched upon it on previous episodes, but we've not gone into loads of details. So I think this is a great opportunity to do so. I view Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, whichever medication you want. GLP-1 medications to me are the dietary equivalent to anti-anxiety and antidepressant medication. They are there for a subset of people that are fucking struggling, who don't have the capacity to tackle the underlying issue on their own. So if somebody is depressed, if somebody has really bad anxiety, the medications they take are not there to cure them. They're there to numb the symptom, the symptoms enough so that they have the capacity to go and do the work to work out what's your trigger, what's the cause of this, how do you then approach it, how do you begin to manage it, recognize it, deal with it, process it, and get beyond it so it doesn't affect you. And then you gradually come off the medication as your coping mechanisms improve. You can reduce your dose, reduce the frequency until you no longer need the medication because you've done the work to address it.
Yeah.
GLP-1 meds are no fucking different. They're not there to replace diet and exercise. They're there to create the space for people to tackle their diet and exercise without being a slave to constant food noise and wanting to eat. They were created for those who are morbidly obese, who have got type 2 diabetes, who are have really alarming health markers. The problem is because they can be quite successful in terms of suppressing appetite. Every cunt out there that's like, oh, I'm going to Marbella in a few weeks, I want to lose 2 stone, I'll go and fucking jab myself in the arse.
Yeah.
And it's like, every other walk of life, jabbing yourself in the arse with anything is frowned upon. It's no different from this perspective. It's not there as a quick fix for those who are too lazy to do the work. It's there to help those who need it most. But you raise such an important point, which people overlook, is there's 2 points. The first one is if you rely really heavily on it to suppress your appetite, I don't think anybody is going to realistically be on this medication for the rest of their life. So what are you going to do when you come off? If all you've done is use something to artificially stop you from being hungry, the minute that's gone, you're going to be hungry. And if you've learned nothing about managing your diet, you're just going to go back to your old ways. Yeah. It becomes another fad diet.
Yeah, you can't manage you can't manage it when you've got no hunger. Yeah. Because that's not a real. You're not dealing with like the biggest problem with dieting, which is hunger.
Yeah.
It's you can't even get your protein up because you're not hungry. The last thing you want to eat is loads of chicken and stuff. You're probably just nibbling on a bit of chocolate. Like the calories that I see some people talking about on social media, it's like 400 to 800 for a long period of time. So it's not actually the drug that's causing like muscle wastage. It's the way that they're eating and the way that they're abusing the drug.
Well, the other side to that coin is the fact that yes, it might suppress your hunger, but if you don't actually address what you eat when you do eat, people need to appreciate that calorie quantity and food quantity are 2 independent things. And you may not be very hungry and you may not be eating anywhere near as frequently as you were before, but let's face it, if you're eating too many calories at the point where you do eat, it's still actually not going to do anything. So you might find yourself, yes, having muscle wastage because you're not eating enough in general, but if you end up just eating shit, high calorie, low nutrient quality food when you do eat, there's going to be a big chunk of people that are jabbing themselves in the arse thinking it's going to be the quick fix for them, that see 0 results. And it's not because it's not worked, it's because they haven't done the one thing you need to do in the background, which is improve your fucking diet quality.
Yeah. I just can't believe like this drug's come out and it's just available to everybody. And I know it's not, because you have to go to an online clinic and send a photo of your scale, which you can just hold something to get your scale number to go up. But yeah, it's pretty much available to anybody without any education around it. So that's why it's going to be. You can't really blame the people that are taking it and abusing it, because they don't know any different. Yeah,
and again, it just highlights the issue that we have with the industry, is that it's so easy for misinformation to spread and for people to be sold a false promise. In that, again, if somebody says to you, take this medication, have this injection or tablet form, whichever it is, and all your problems are solved, it's the classic. Would you take this red pill gives you infinite wealth, infinite this, that, and the other. Yeah. Would you take it, or would you work hard to get it? Well, 90% of people are going to go, "Oh, I'll take it."
Yeah, of course.
Because they think it's the answer to their problems. The challenge is it doesn't guarantee results, and also if you don't do the, like we said, if you don't do the work in the background, those results are not going to stick around.
It's not going to change your habits, and that's what I've learned through coaching a lot of people. So much of it is psychological, like learning new habits. I've got a coach who works alongside me. She's called Sam. She's got a degree in psychology, and a lot of her jobs before were revolving around that. So that's exactly why I brought her on, because I was like, I can give some people the best nutrition advice ever.
Yeah.
But if you can't help them mentally, or help them overcome a few, not even eating disorders, but bad habits that they've picked up through your slimming worlds and stuff, then you're always going to be struggling. So yeah, it's exactly why she worked alongside me, because a lot of it is psychological.
Yeah, it's such a big thing, and people overlook it massively, because again, the industry makes you believe that the reason why somebody is fat is because of a particular food, or because of a particular ingredient, or whatever it is. That there's always somebody always likes a public enemy number one. They like to be able to hang their hat and go, this is the reason why things are shit. But 9 times out of 10, it's not anything specific. It's actually how that individual thinks and reacts and responds, their internal dialogue when they eat certain foods, what they say about themselves. Like the amount of clients I've worked with who will say, when I first start working with them, like, oh, I had whatever it is at the weekend. It could be chocolate, it could be alcohol, it could be crisps, it could be whatever. You go, oh, I had that at the weekend. I know I shouldn't have had it. It was so shit. And you go, why was it shit? Why do you think that? Oh, well, because it's bad. You shouldn't have it. And I go, well, did you enjoy it? Well, I did to begin with, but then I just made myself feel like shit. I'm like, right, first things first. The first thing we're going to tackle is not removing that food. It's getting you comfortable with eating it, and not telling yourself you're a piece of shit for doing so. Yeah. And you can have all of the GLP-1 meds you want. You can have all of the fanciest workouts you want. You can have all of the craziest diets that you want. But if that's your approach to trying to get in shape, you're never going to address the underlying issue, which is 9 times out of 10 people end up gaining weight because they have a really bad reaction psychologically to the food they're eating.
Yeah. Even the scale number, like the amount of times, the scale goes up a pound and the client freaks out about it.
Yeah.
And you say, well, what did you eat yesterday? Did you stick to your calories? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, unless you ate, 6,000 calories over your maintenance, then you haven't put on a pound of fat. So it doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't matter what it's saying. It's just water. It's impossible to put on that pound of fat. There's like 3,500 in a pound of fat, isn't it? But you'd obviously have to eat more, because your body would burn more the more you eat. So yeah, I think it works out like 7,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
He's that guy with the, what did he drink? Just cream, wasn't it? Liquid cream.
Yeah.
And it took him 7,000 calories to gain a pound of fat. That's what I say to them. Did you eat 7,000 calories over your maintenance? Well, you didn't put on a pound of fat.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I know, but it's gone up about. Yeah, but it's just.
But again, it's one of those weird things, and I get it to an extent, but a phrase I always use is, the minute we drop out of a vagina, we're led to believe that our weight is the most important thing. One of the first things that they do when somebody has a baby is they weigh it. And I know you need to check, because obviously when you're an infant and you're newborn, weight is a good indicator of health, because if a baby comes out severely underweight, its chances of survival are low. I get it. But the trouble is it doesn't stop at a point where weight becomes less of a factor. It's literally from the minute we are born, the minute we arrive, we are conditioned to believe that the biggest indicator of health is our weight.
Yeah,
it's a metric that fluctuates so fucking much.
Yeah, I had an article in the paper actually. because I put out a post about my son. He must have been about 4, so I think he was in year reception or year 1, and got a letter home from school saying that he was overweight, because apparently they weigh everybody at school, and it's all done on BMR. So I got this letter saying that your son's a bit overweight, so you should take these steps to ensure that it comes back down to a normal size. And like I think he was 4 or 5, and he's not overweight. He's actually very skinny, but he's quite tall. He's quite broad like myself. And obviously I just screwed it up and threw it in the bin. But I was thinking, how many mum and dads would read that and then probably say something to their son, like when they next go to get a chocolate or some sweets, and go, you can't, because we had this letter from school saying you're a bit overweight. And it didn't tell the parents how to deal with that. Yeah. And I just thought that's going to cause so many problems. Yeah. Even like the mum and dad's not meaning to, but they're naturally going to say something if they start worrying that their son's overweight.
And this is such an important point, because there's enough social pressure to look in a particular way. I can't remember what the official statistics are, but eating disorders in young people has gone up fucking massive amounts over the last few years, particularly because of social media. Yeah. And I don't know about you, it's a great topic to focus on. I always really struggle when I get messages on TikTok or Instagram, mostly TikTok, from people asking me to help them, and I'm like, yeah, no worries. And then like, it's difficult to know how old somebody is, so you double check, how old are you? And I've had loads of people who are like 13, 14, 15 who are like, I really need to lose weight, I've been told I need to lose weight, I need to do this. And I'm like, at your age, the best advice that I can give is try and eat as much fruit and veg as you want, as you can. Try and get a good amount of protein. Don't get bogged down at that age about your calories. Instead, go and find a form of activity that you like and do it every fucking day. Yeah. Like, get outside. Don't spend loads of time being sedentary. Just fucking move loads and try and eat good quality food. Yeah. And this is the difficulty, is that like, you're quite right. That schools are perhaps trying to help by trying to recognise things, but the easiest way to address it is not to necessarily make a big deal out of it and be like, your child is overweight, unless obviously they're severely overweight. But again, in my opinion, this opinion might get me fucking cancelled, but if you've got a child that's massively overweight, that's an issue with the fucking parents. And it could be Munchausen by proxy, where they're like killing them with love. Or it could just be that they have a poor general understanding of general nutrition. The answer is not to be like, oh, put this child on a diet. The answer is actually, are there things that you can do that are not going to be dietarily focused, that can just get this child fucking moving more? Mm-hmm. Like, I think the big issue we have with kids these days, in terms of the reason why the obesity issue is now filtering down to younger generations, is people aren't fucking active. Yeah. When we were kids, I spent 90% of my time outside. I was either on my bike, playing football, running, beating the shit out of my friends, thinking I was a wrestler.
Fortnite now, isn't it?
Yeah. Whereas now everything is like, it's fucking console driven. It's inside. And I had a guy called Jaden on early episode, and he's, I don't want to get his age wrong, he's about 19, but he ended up in a position where he was streaming on Twitch, and he had like fucking shitloads of followers, was making money from it, was doing a really good job, and he became really fucking unwell because for like 20 hours a day he was like in the dark, hunched over his computer. And it's like, that's the reality that we're in at the moment. The big issue for a lot of kids that are gaining weight is not even a case of, the parents don't need to start being like, oh, don't eat that, or we can't have that because you're a bit overweight, causing potential damaging issues around creating eating disorders in younger people. It should fucking help them find something they like doing, that gets them active. Yeah, walk to school. Yeah. Like, I'm not being funny, 90% of kids will find a form of activity that they fucking enjoy. Because kids like to play. Fucking tap into it. Like, it could be something really simple, like fucking going to a trampolining group. Have you ever seen a kid not have fun jumping on a trampoline?
No. Yeah, my kids put up resistance when you take them somewhere, but yeah, they do jiu-jitsu and football and swimming. Yeah.
Put them in a park and make them run around.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, but sometimes, like, it is the parents' fault. But then also it's hard to blame them because they're not educated as well. So that's not really their fault either. So it's probably their parents' fault. So
and this is the thing. I think it comes back to the industry in general. Can you blame a parent for having a severely overweight child when that parent themselves, if they turn to the industry and they go, right, I need a bit of help, and they're greeted with, don't eat this, don't eat that, add butter to coffee, like the amount of shit information that's out there. Is there any wonder that people, if adults don't know how to look after them fucking selves, how are they supposed to look after a child? Like
there's probably a lot of families not having fruit because they've seen that it contains sugar. Probably shitloads of families, which
is mad because when we were growing up, like I imagine it was probably the same for you, my parents were trying to get me to eat more fruit and vegetables because gotta eat, it's good for you.
Yeah, if you say you're hungry, they're like, well, have an apple.
Yeah.
You're like, no. You're not hungry then, are you?
Yeah, I don't want an apple. Right, come back when you're actually hungry. All right, fine. But, it was as simple as that. Like, it's such a concerning situation that we're in where so many people, like I said before, we've got the greatest access to information, but we've got the most amount of misinformation, the most confused people have ever been because logic and evidence have gone firmly out the window. And I know things have to change. I know times change. I know routines and habits, we evolve and what have you. So I get, technology is obviously, it's a good thing. It's going to change things. But some of the core fundamentals, when people go, oh yeah, if you look back 100 years ago, people didn't have XYZ food, insert whichever one you want to demonize. We didn't have an obesity issue. No, but we also didn't have fucking consoles. We didn't have TV, like
vending machines, delivery.
Yeah, exactly. Like the simple fact of the matter is, people spent more time outside. Like they just fucking did. And you raise a really good point with like the convenience side of things. If you look at the evolution that we've seen for our lifestyle, when I grew up, my grandparents obviously they had a TV. But you had to get up and you had to press buttons on the TV to change channel.
I've said that before, everything's built to be lazy now, isn't it?
Yeah, everything is about convenience. It's about as easy as possible, as minimal effort as possible. Like you used to have to go and walk across the room to change channel. Then they brought out the remote. Now you don't even need to press buttons on the remote. You can just fucking talk to the telly and it changes.
And there was escalators going up the stairs. Yeah. And now there's escalators that are just flat.
Yeah. It's
just to make you go a bit faster and not move.
And this is the funny thing with things like escalators. I think it was Jane Smith that raised the point, or it might have been Deering. It was one of the two. I can't remember which one it was. And it was a fucking brilliant point. Things like escalators, whether it's the ones in the airport that are on the floor or whether it's like going up and down stairs, they weren't designed with the intention of you standing still on them. They were designed to help you get from point A to point B quicker. If you walk on them, you get to your end destination quicker. People have looked at it and gone, yeah, but if I stand still, I get there easier. Yeah,
the ones in the airport are mental because they're not even going that fast.
No.
And people just stood on it. And I'm like, it's going to take you ages.
You fucking walk past them. Like, actually walk past them. It's ridiculous. Like, it blows my mind. But again, as a society, Western society in particular, we are leaning more and more towards convenience and things being easier, which is great. There are many benefits to things being quicker, easier and more convenient, but we're also losing the things that our society has historically been built on, which is activity, hard work, like meat and two veg. All of these things that actually probably underpin life. There may well have been far lower rates of people becoming having type 2 diabetes or having heart attacks and stuff if you go back 50, 60 years. But that's because you look at what people were eating 50, 60 years ago, mostly meat and vegetables. You look at their activity and their lifestyle. Well, not everybody had a car, so most people were walking places. Most jobs were physical manual jobs, whereas now people spend fucking 10 hours a day sat in an office, artificial light, not fucking moving. And when they go home, they're too fucked because they haven't fucking done anything. They haven't seen the sun. And what do they want to eat? Well, just whatever they can order or chuck in a microwave. And it's like, this is a big factor that needs to be addressed. And again, like coming back to sort of the original point in terms of why I wanted you on here is for me, I like to try and get people on that echo the same views in terms of you don't need to make things too complicated. Like, we know the scenario that we're in, but if you can help people to understand a little bit better about how to manage their calories in a way that fits their lifestyle, you can start to tackle some of these issues. You can tackle the fact that perhaps parents are struggling a little bit in terms of what do I feed my kids? How do I keep them healthy? Because it doesn't become this bullshit all or nothing approach. It becomes a sensible, logical, long-term thing where you go, yeah, they can have a choc ice, but also maybe don't give them 5 of them for dinner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But,
no, it's absolute minefield.
Yeah.
I think one thing that has got a lot better than when we were growing up is like the access to activities for adults.
Yeah.
So like gym, there's so many gyms around here now. Or sorry, in Brighton, and even like boot camps at the park. So there's so much ways to get active, especially like for adults. That's really improved. That's a really good thing. Not that I do it, I'm more just benching, but
Yeah. but again, I think it is really important that there seems to be a bit of a shift over the last few years, like you said, where it's becoming way more common. Like we've got it here. There's like you've got like paddle courts and stuff popping up everywhere. It's like, yeah, people might not want to go and play tennis because it's a bit, you know.
And the gyms as well packed with youngsters. Like that was when I used to go. It was just meatheads.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And all the clubs are shutting, which is a shame. But like nightclubs are all shutting down because youngsters aren't going clubbing and drinking anymore.
Yeah.
Because they're more health conscious, I think, and more in the gym.
Yeah, there's so many positives that are coming about. I think there's more that needs to be done in terms of like the activity aspect is great and helping people become more active, getting more people into sports. And I'm a big believer that if you get kids into like particularly team sports from an early age, it teaches them so many things in life in terms of, you know, obviously teamwork, cooperation. It teaches accountability and all, you know, respect and all sorts of stuff that really help. But also, again, providing these environments for adults to become more active is really important, because again, if you've got parents of young kids and their kids are, you know, being sent home with a letter that's saying to their mum and dad that they're a little bit on the bigger side and something needs to be done, if they're seeing their parents going out and doing sport, you know, 2 or 3 nights a week, oh, where's dad gone? He's gone to go and play paddle, or he's gone to the gym, or where's mum? She's gone to yoga, or she's gone to this, she's gone to that. Like, it sets the expectation that in your spare time you go and do something active, and I think that's an important example to set that's probably been lost as well. There's probably been a lot of people who, you know, again, the age group just below us who are, you know, avid gamers. There's probably a lot of kids that have watched, you come home from school and they see mum and dad spending 4 hours, 5 hours playing Fortnite or Call of Duty or whatever, and they kind of go, oh, that's what you do. And it's like, I think if we can make access to activity in general easier for people to get into, that will have a massive role, because again, kids are a product of their environment. If they see their parents active and training and doing stuff and enjoying sport, they're going to be far less resistant to it.
I had to completely change the way that I used to exercise. So I used to play football. I was like just football every single day with my mates or in a team training. And then when I was about 21, I'd done my cruciate ligament.
Yeah, I did mine at 21 as well.
Yeah, the hospital fucked my operation up like badly. They basically, the ligament failed, and then they didn't spot that it failed for 6 years. So I was trying to get back into playing football, and it's just swelling up all the time. So I went from being so active to like, I still can't really jog now. It just swells up.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do any sport, and all the sports that I loved, can't do it. That's how I really started getting into the gym and bench pressing, really, because I just got into that and just loved it.
Yeah.
And just started doing that. And yeah, I had to completely change though the way that I thought about exercise, because I just couldn't do something anymore.
Yeah, and it is really hard when something gets taken away. So I got diagnosed with a condition called POTS probably 18 months, 2 years ago, and that massively changed how I train, because I only got a blood.
Is that like a blood flow?
Yeah, it's a blood pressure. I don't know much
about
it.
But...
So basically, any time I'm changing posture, particularly going from like seated to standing, that kind of stuff, I get sudden drops of blood pressure, which isn't great for if you ever want to do things like squatting and deadlifting and stuff like that, because the minute you get back up to standing, you just fucking drop. And obviously I now can't train with the same intensity. If I overexert myself, I have issues and stuff. And it was a huge head fuck. It came at a similar, obviously I've ended up having to stop playing football because I was a goalkeeper. Despite my lofty stature, I was quite good. But again, you get to a point where you're like, you when you lose the ability to do certain things, I think it's so important to find an alternative to replace it. There's too many people that, again, perhaps pick up an injury or, you know, circumstances change and they can't do what they've done previously, that just kind of go, there's no point.
Yeah.
I can't do that one thing, so I won't do anything, and then that feeds into the challenge. So again, bringing it back to the point in terms of there is so much more out there that helps adults get active. I think it's, that's a big message that I would like to put out to people. Find something you enjoy. Doesn't matter what it is. Yes, there are going to be benefits to resistance training for how you look and how you feel and your health and fitness level as you age, 100%. But if you fucking hate that, well, there's going to be something else. I'm a firm believer, there is a form of activity for everybody.
Yeah.
And you just got to find what it is that you like and go and do it as much as you can.
Yeah, that's why I tend to stay on the bigger side, because I love lifting heavy.
Yeah.
And that's what that was my passion from ever since I stopped playing football. And anytime I try and lose if I lose like a stone or a stone and a half, that strength goes a bit.
Yeah.
And then I don't enjoy it as much. So yeah, I have to. I'm always fighting in my head like what to do. But it's just the way it is.
I think that raises such an important point from a coaching perspective, because so many people pin credibility on follow account, on how lean you are, rather than or past accomplishments, rather than actual vocational qualification and understanding of a subject. And I think that raises such an important point. We've all got different goals. We've all got different things we want to achieve. So it's impossible to say you can't be a good coach if you aren't lean, or you can't be a good coach if you can't bench X or whatever, because every single person has got their own drivers, their own motivations, their own things they want to achieve. Like, for me personally, I always feel more confident if I'm a little bit leaner, but I also really fucking hate dieting. So for me, I probably sit somewhere between 10 and 15%, maybe even above 15% body fat the majority of the time, because I can perform well, I feel pretty good, I can enjoy my life from that side of things. But again, like you said, from your side of things, your big buzz that you get is performing really well in the gym. Well, if you eat for performance, you don't typically eat to be fucking lean, because if you one of the first things that goes when you put yourself into a pretty strict deficit is you lose your energy, you lose your strength, and that's not really conducive for performance-based training. So it's a really valuable and important point to raise to people, anyone listening, that if you're gauging somebody's credibility based on how visible their abs are or how big their following is, you're probably missing the fucking point, because funnily enough, everyone in the fitness space doesn't share the same common goal of wanting to be fucking jacked and shredded 365 days.
I was competing in bench press, and I got up to, I'd done a 230 kg lift in a final and won it. But then the next stage was, I think the UK record was like 280. And part of me was like, fuck, I could put on like another 4 stone and go for that. And I'd have to take loads of steroids as well. I was like, part of me was like, fuck, should I do that? Because when you get like I'd done it like a 250 in the gym, and I was thinking, oh yeah, that is the next. I can't do it without it. I need to put on weight and take steroids to go past that stage. But then I was like, no, I can't. So then I come down and found like a happy medium, come down in weight. I mean, and just kept like some of my strength. But yeah, it's a constant battle.
Yeah, and again, it's I always think it's one of those things that's worth highlighting to people, is the fact that what you're trying to get out of it will ultimately dictate how you eat, how you live, how you train. And it's not just about being as lean as possible. No. Some people like to perform particularly well, and again, it always makes me laugh when people talk about strongman performers and what have you, and powerlifters, and they go, oh, it can't be healthy to be that size, and you go, yeah, but the thing is they're not living their life based on optimum health. They're living their life based on optimum performance for being able to move the most fucking weight. Like, there's a difference. You can't look at someone who is a strongman, who is a powerlifter, and go, oh well, you should be a bit leaner. Well, yeah, but if they were a bit leaner, they wouldn't fucking be able to move the 100 kilo rock that they've just picked up and made look pretty fucking easy. Yeah,
it's like, I think Eddie Hall was like 30 stone, wasn't he, when he won World's Strongest Man, or when he deadlifted 500.
Yeah, it's mental. And again, it's too many people, like, kind of repeating myself probably, but too many people get caught up in you need to look a particular way to be healthy. And it's like, actually, like, health is determined by overall diet quality, by overall activity level, by overall lifestyle. It's not.
You can't just define health by like one
Yeah.
marker, can you?
No, exactly. And again,
you could be lean and doing loads of cocaine every single weekend.
exactly.
Yeah.
And again, it brings me back the amount of people that will say you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that because it's got a chemical compound in it, which if you had in high enough quantities would be bad for you. But this invariably the same people who are scared of having pasta, for example, or a Coke Zero because of aspartame are the same people that will willingly buy a small bag of white powder off of some questionable bloke in a car park on a Friday and have no issues packing that up their nose, but they couldn't possibly drink a Diet Coke because it's got a sweetener in it.
Some of the opinions on social media are crazy. I'm pretty thick-skinned to it now because I've been doing it for a while. But yeah, some of the stuff people say, like you said, like about you have to be really, really lean to give advice, or other people saying like you've got to be really, really strong to give advice.
Yeah.
Or people giving advice on like Diet Coke and dosages of chemicals. I'm like, how do you know what the dose? When does that become toxic?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
It's fucking
like you
mad,
don't.
isn't
You
it?
don't.
And
Like name me the chemical that is the problematic one in
Yeah.
this product you're saying not to have, and they don't answer.
Yeah, and the irony is things like aspartame and stuff like that, aspartame, whatever you want to fucking call it, however you want to pronounce it. When you look at like the chemical compounds that break it down, there are higher quantities of those chemical compounds found in bananas and apples and eggs and stuff. And people sit and go, oh, you shouldn't drink that Diet Coke because it's got this one thing in it which is really bad. And you go, yeah, you do realise there's fuckloads more of that in the stuff that's actually really good for you.
Yeah.
So you'd probably be all right.
I learned a lot of this when working for Reflex because a lot of people ringing up and saying, oh, why have you got this ingredient in it? Why have you got this ingredient? So then I had to start researching them all. Yeah. And you start realising that they're actually all fine. Even like there was a big thing on soy protein for a while. Yeah. Like people weren't touching soy protein because they thought it would feminize you. And
some of the things you hear are fucking...
That was massive. That was massive in the industry.
Yeah, I remember it.
People calling people soy boys and
mate, there's a few pages. There's one guy that springs to mind. He's an American chap and he's got a terrible fucking haircut and he's always topless and he refers to everyone as soy boy and if you have protein shakes you're a beta male and it's like all this weird fucking alpha beta shit. And there was a lad that kept habitually fucking slagging me off in the comments on my content on TikTok, always called me a soy boy and everything, and I'm like, and he started getting like putting very homophobic comments. I'm not gay, I'm married, but he was like basically calling me gay and everything, and he kept referencing me back to the same person who is topless in every video, and I'm like, I don't want to be that guy, mate, but you seem to have a bit of a fucking obsession with the topless male here, and yet you're calling me gay and a beta male because I said you can drink Diet Coke. Like, are you okay?
I used to read all the comments and get a bit angry at the beginning, but I just kind of makes me laugh now. I can't even bother replying to most of them.
I think I got a good baptism of fire. My first week on TikTok, I had a video do relatively well. I think it was my second video that I posted from a work perspective, did quite well, and I was like, well, this is cool. And then it got called out by Dr. Ids, not for misinformation. He stated in his video that what I said was true, but he didn't like my delivery method. It was just me on lots of different cardio equipment saying it will do fuck all for fat loss if you're not in a deficit. Yeah. And that caused a week and a half of me getting nothing but hate from all of his followers, mostly from people from America. Every time I posted, I'd just get people slagging me off, and it went on for literally about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I nearly came off TikTok. I was like, this isn't worth it. But I'm glad I stuck with it because obviously most of my business comes from there. But it taught me very, very quickly the hard way that actually there's always going to be people that got shit to say.
Yeah. I called out Eddie Abu pretty early on, and he replied to one of my videos, and that was fucking brutal. Yeah, like some of the comments of his like 14-year-old army coming after you. Yeah, but I always thought I had like 15 years of training because I'm in a group with my best mates on WhatsApp. Yeah, and they absolutely ruin me. Yeah, every single day. You know, everybody's brutal in that. So some little guy on TikTok can't really hurt me if my mates are saying all that shit every day.
Yeah, I've again, having grown up playing Sunday League football, you get called a lot fucking worse, particularly being a goalkeeper. If you have a shit game, you get called a lot fucking worse than.
They're all fake accounts as well. Like when you look at the comments, it's always a fake account that goes too far.
Mate, it's the same with when you go live on TikTok. Like it's exactly the same.
I've never done it.
Have you not? So I go live semi frequently, and it's good. Like I do enjoy it, but the amount of shit little fucking fake accounts where they just jump on and they're like literally just calling you a pedo, or they'll be like, "Oh, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about," and you're like, mate, you're taking time out of your day to try and troll a stranger. Like, don't fucking come at me and be like, try and have a pop at me. Like the depressing person in this scenario is you, that has nothing better to do on a Saturday morning than try and slag a stranger off on TikTok.
That's the thing to remember, isn't it? Like, they would never come and say that to my face in public. So
no, definitely not with you. I mean, they might do with me. They might look at me and go, "He's only 5'8".
When I just think of that, I said, you would never say it to my face. So it's not a real comment, is it?
And again, I think it's an important. I always like to touch upon things like mental health and stuff, and I think it's a really important point to always come back to, that if somebody's saying something negative about, like, if somebody's just being a cunt basically in the comments, no one who's doing better than you will ever obviously try and bring you down, for one, but also I always just look at the nature of what somebody's saying. If somebody is coming back to me and saying what you have said in this video is incorrect, even if they're saying it in a cunty way, if they're questioning the credibility of what I've said, that's something that warrants a response, warrants a conversation, whether they've been a cunt about it or not. If somebody's just attacking me personally, that's a reflection purely on them. Like if somebody can't watch one of my videos and go, "I didn't enjoy that," and just scroll on to the next one without being like, "You look like a cunt."
The thing is, when you try and give your point over of why your information's correct, because it's social media, it just turns into an argument. It
just turns into a dick swinging contest.
And then you realise that these people just it's like a cult, isn't it? Because they've done keto, they are always going to back it, no matter what evidence you provide. And the same with everything. People
have become very astute at seeking out confirmation bias rather than seeking out fact. And that's the challenge, isn't it? You can go and find 100 pieces of literature that say how great keto is. The difference is you can't go and find 100 pieces of credible, backed clinical studies that present the same information.
That's the beauty of what we do. Like, when you're evidence based, you're just like, well, it's not my opinion. I'm not telling you it. That's what the science says. So go and argue with the science. It's not. It's nothing to do with me.
Ricky Gervais summed it up absolutely perfectly, in that we're in a situation now where people would rather try and change the facts to meet their opinion rather than being educated enough to formulate their opinion in light of the facts. And it's why I sleep so well at night, knowing that thousands of people have called me a cunt because I said their diet was shit, purely on the basis that it's not me saying their diet is shit, it's the science saying it's shit. I just delivered. I was just the messenger. So if you want to have a pop and tell me I'm a cunt for saying that the way that you're doing things is fucking terrible, well, that's fine, have a pop at me, but it's not my opinion, it's what the data tells us. So one little jumped up cunt on social media being like, "Oh, I didn't like that," didn't deal with it.
Again, it's hard to do it. It's hard to argue in those comments anyway, isn't it? Because you can't even provide links.
No,
especially on TikTok. It's so annoying.
TikTok is the worst place to try and have an argument about credibility of anyone, because it's literally you've got like you've got a character limit for a start, so you're trying to be as articulate as possible. You can't call them a cunt because that won't get through the.
And I swear, when you reply to their comment, it ends up somewhere else. Like
quite often.
They're not going to see that now. It's down there.
The other thing that I love though about TikTok or social media in general is when you get a live one, somebody that replies to every single response that you put in. They don't realise that just helps your content. So I will poke the fucking bear if somebody's got an hour and a half of their time to waste trying to tell me that I'm a cunt when I know factually I'm correct. I'm like, no worries. Let's have a wonderful back and forth. You can make yourself look like a fucking idiot on a video that's now got a few 100,000 views, and it's like the world can see you're a prick. They can see that I'm a real person that interacts, and you've just boosted my video.
So some people do that on purpose, don't they? They say a little word wrong, or they say there's 6 here instead of 5, and then all the comments are like, no, it's 6, 6, 6, 6. And then it just makes your post go viral. So it's like a little trick, isn't it?
I probably should start doing things like that a little bit more. Or I could just start fucking claiming that the key to getting in shape is eating meat and eggs all the time. But yeah, I think that's probably a nice place to begin to round things off. To be honest with you, I think I like to do a bit of a final thought on things. So I would love to get your opinion in terms of and thoughts on where you would like to see the industry go over the next few years. We've had it's been a weird space, the fitness industry, over the last couple of years, but I'd love to know where you want to see it going. And then obviously off the back of that, again, just remind everybody where they can find you. If they don't follow you already, I imagine they probably do, because you're like world famous on TikTok in particular. But if they don't follow you because they live under a rock, let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so Aaron_nutrition, and where just, I think it's definitely getting better, because there's more people saying this more evidence-based stuff. And I know sometimes it does get a bit boring because everybody's copying each other's content, but at least the right message is getting put out. Sometimes you see these evidence people arguing with each other. I'm like, you're missing the point there. Like, let them copy. It's fine. At least the message is going out. I'd love to see like some of this Ozempic stuff get a bit more regulated, because it is an amazing drug. But I think we're going to end up in a big problem, like sarcopenia epidemics, like later on, where people have lost a lot of muscle.
I think so. It's a risk, isn't it, when things aren't, I think because it's been very difficult to get access to it for those who probably need it. More people are turning to getting it from less legitimate sources, which creates its problem itself. You've only got to look at fucking class A drugs at the end of the day. Like when your only option is to get it from unreputable places, you end up in a really bad fucking way with it. And I think that's the problem with GLP-1 meds, is they've been glamorized, so everybody wants to do them rather than.
And I think if TikTok, like you said, are deleting your comments because you called somebody a fucking prick, then you shouldn't be allowed to put pharmacy websites with discount codes for medicine on your page.
The amount of pages that I've been followed by in the past, where it's like it will have a mobile number and every single post is like buying steroids, GLP-1 meds, whatever it is, and you think, how is that allowed? And then you report the page, and then like 2 hours later TikTok goes, we've looked at it, they're fine. How are they fine? They're
So
illegally selling drugs.
I get comments, so like if I'm talking about fat loss on a post, I will get comments from people saying, you can buy Ozempic here and get 30% off, and they give their discount code, and then you look at, it's just some mum of free.
What's your profession?
So more regulation in the industry to stop some of this poor information getting out. Mate, it's definitely getting better.
I would love the industry to become more regulated, so that you actually need to be qualified to give advice. I think that's why we've ended up where we are. It's been too easy historically for those who are unqualified to give strong opinions and position them as fact, and it's caused problems. But hopefully we can get to a place where that becomes more difficult. But I'm so grateful for you coming on, mate. Really appreciate it.
That's all right, no problem.
Fucking
It's
brilliant.
been good.
Hopefully everyone listening has enjoyed it. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And if you don't follow already, go and give Aaron a follow. His content's fucking brilliant. And you will 100%, if you haven't learned from me, you'll 100% learn from him. So go and give him a follow. And as for everyone else, I will see you on the next episode.